Welcome to Vedic Counsellor, where ancient Vedic wisdom meets modern scientific insight.
So today we're going to dive into Vedic Jyotish, which is this really fascinating ancient system for understanding who we are. We're going to break down how this specific tradition looks at our inner makeup and our life path, all based on what it calls our karmic blueprint. But before we get into all the specifics, let's just step back for a second. I mean, how have different cultures throughout history tried to answer this huge question? You've got philosophy, psychology, all kinds of spiritual traditions. Humanity has come up with countless ways to try and understand the self. And the focus of our explainer today is just on the concepts found inside one of those systems, Vedic Jyotish, which literally means the science of light. We're simply going to explore its unique language for describing what it considers our karmic blueprint. Okay, so here's our game plan. First, we'll touch on astrology and identity. Then we'll get into the building blocks, planets, signs, and yogas. After that, we'll look at some key yogas for orientation, understand the purpose of remedies, and finally, explore the paths to inner harmony suggested by the system. All right, let's jump right in. First things first, how does Jyotish even think about the whole concept of identity? The core idea here is that a person's birth chart is basically a map of their karma. Everything, from your personality traits to the big events in your life, including relationships and your personal orientation, is seen as a reflection of this really intricate planetary code. Now, if we're going to read that karmic map, we've got to learn the language, right? So let's define some of the fundamental building blocks of this system. Okay, the most important word you're going to hear is yoga. And nope, we're not talking about the kind you do on a mat. In this context, a yoga is a specific combination of planets in your birth chart. It's believed to create a certain tendency or outcome. Think of it like a cosmic recipe, you know? Now, right at the heart of this discussion are two planets they call Napumsaka Graha, or neuter planets. Those are Mercury and Saturn. In this system, they're seen as having this kind of ambiguous or non-binary or neutral energy, and that becomes super important in the combinations we're about to talk about. And this is where it gets really interesting. The birth chart is split into 12 sections called houses, and each one represents a different part of your life. When we're talking about relationships and intimacy, these 4 houses you see here, the 5th, 7th, 8th, and 12th, are absolutely crucial. They cover everything from romance and creativity all the way to secrets and partnerships. All right, now that we've got the lingo down, let's look at the specific yogas, those planetary recipes that the source material points to as being related to a person's orientation. This slide really highlights the difference between those two neuter planets we mentioned. The text described Mercury's influence as more youthful, kind of androgynous, creating a sense of ambiguity. Saturn, on the other hand, brings this old age energy, which can translate to a lack of interest or turning away from more conventional partnerships. So the source points to several key patterns. Things like a heavy influence from Mercury or Saturn on those relationship houses, or when planets of desire like Venus or Mars are retrograde, moving backward. Even the lunar nodes, Rahu and Ketu, which are often tied to breaking norms, play a part. But, and this is really important, the texts almost always say you need to see multiple indicators before drawing any strong conclusions. And just to give you a very specific example, the source cites the classical astrologer Dr. B.V. Raman. He talks about how planets that are moving retrograde or backward can indicate a kind of reversal of that planet's energy. So in the case of Venus, it could point to an unconventional expression of love and desire that distorts what the text considers to be the norm. Okay, so given these yogas, what does the system say you should do about it? This brings us to the whole concept of upayas, or remedies. And honestly, this is a really, really crucial part of the discussion. The source material is incredibly clear on this. The purpose of these remedies is not to change a person's fundamental nature, not at all. Instead, the whole goal is to smooth out any associated karmic imbalances, reduce challenges, and help the person find acceptance and harmony in their life and relationships. So yeah, the focus is 100% on harmonizing those difficult planetary energies. If a certain combination is seen as causing some kind of conflict, either internally or externally, the remedies are designed to just smooth out that energy and promote a sense of inner peace. So what do these remedies actually look like? Well, the source breaks them down into 3 main categories of upayas. First up, and probably the most common remedy you'll hear about, is mantra chanting. The basic idea is that by repeating these specific sound vibrations associated with a planet on its special day of the week, you can help pacify or balance out the energy of whichever planet might be causing an imbalance. Next, you've got gemstones. Each planet is linked to a specific gem, like emerald for Mercury. But, and this is a huge but, the source gives a massive warning here. Because gemstones can actually amplify a planet's energy, they should never, ever be worn without a detailed, personalized consultation from a qualified astrologer. That part is critical. And finally, the system suggests practical, everyday lifestyle adjustments. We're talking about things like acts of charity, donating items of a certain color, for instance, or practices like yoga and meditation to help with emotional stability. It even mentions reciting the Hanuman Chalisa specifically for the courage to face societal pressures. So, if we boil this all down, what's the one thing to remember? It's that Vedic Jyotish frames identity as a karmic blueprint. And the paths it offers are not about suppression or conversion, but about harmonization, acceptance, and finding inner peace with your own true nature. And we'll just leave you with this final thought. No matter what your personal beliefs are, looking into these ancient systems gives us a pretty fascinating window into that timeless human search for self-understanding. So, how might these old maps help us navigate our modern world? It's definitely come to think about. Thanks for joining us.
If you found this video helpful, please consider subscribing to the channel Vedic Counsellor. For personal astrology consultation, horoscope analysis, or Vastu consultation, you can contact us on WhatsApp 919219539215 or visit our website www.vediccounselor.com. Thank you for watching.